So I want to elaborate a little bit more on a conversation that I've been having with Justin Shaw about the nature of the solar cycle and what's going to happen for the rest of cycle 24 as it relates to the issues that a lot of people aren't aware of. The solar cycle seems to associate with a lot of very, very key, sort of important human affairs. And if you research it, you'll find out that during periods of solar decline, like the one we're in right now, there's both economic and social and cultural sort of deterioration, and that the temperatures, especially in the northern regions, get very, very cold, and the weather patterns change significantly. And that's what we're seeing right now. And I'm going to put a few links in the comments. Right now, the monsoons are missing. The monsoon season in India has sort of disappeared, and they're reliant on that sort of for their, for their farming and agriculture. And the places, there's going to be droughts in some places that normally get rain aren't going to get rain, and the sea temperatures are increasing. The sea temperatures are going up because the wind isn't moving as much, because the coronal mass ejections aren't there. And so the wind's not moving around, and that means that there aren't as many hurricanes as predicted. Even though the seas are warmer, there aren't as many hurricanes and cyclones. And, like I said, the monsoon season is missing in India right now. And we're going to continue to see that as long as this cycle 24 minimum continues. We're in a century class minimum right now. We haven't seen this low of sunspot activity in over a century. And if you really look at the data, we're getting close to the point where we don't have a record of anything that's been this low before, which is, great if you were worried about global warming. And clearly the sun is in charge of this. And the context of the discussion that was going on between Justin and I, the depth of it is fairly significant. Once you've realized those facts, once you realize that there is this relationship between our cultural progress and the sun's nature, and once you realize that there is a relationship between the collective soul and the sun itself, in other words, our collective activity, there's this sort of hypersymmetry that exists on the level of human activity, the human involvement in the sort of divine play that is hypersymmetric technically. That's the technical term in astrometry, with the sun's activity. And so there's this inside-outside relationship, as above, so below relationship, that a lot of the religions were based on. And I think one of the big problems we're seeing with the direction our culture's been going is that these truths have been covered up and denied. These facts about the nature of our reality have been lied about. That we've been lied to. You could argue out of interest in fiscal gain, or other reasons. I don't want to jump to too many conclusions about what's going on. It might just be plain old good old human ignorance. But anyway, the trend towards this reductionist attitude about the nature of reality is cooperating with the corruption. The corruption that is insisting on controlling the information and manipulating. And clearly the oil companies have an interest in the incredibly cold weather that we're going to be seeing, in the difficult times that humanity might be facing. But the question remains as to what's going to happen. And as a sort of barometer for this, as a sort of measure for this, there are individuals who are meditating on this and have been meditating on this for years. And this situation is something that has failed to initiate. There's an initiation that has not taken place on the part of the people who would be initiating these things. There's a sort of, if you think of it as a sort of job or a sort of function, the people who would be performing these functions have sort of said, I'm out of here. And so that's one of the big problems right now, is that these individuals who would be doing that type of work, some of them have said, I'm not going to. And so under the circumstances, when you have this sort of deception, this sort of problem that our culture seems to have with its treatment of people and of the value that the soul has. Our present culture in the United States is moving towards denying the soul altogether, especially here on YouTube. There's no soul, right? That's a fairy tale. It's not possible for some being to manifest, in multiple places throughout time. There's no such thing as reincarnation. These things have to be denied in order to maintain the status quo about a future that is impossible, that is fictional. And so this is a very, very problematic situation. And what I think is going to happen is that there will be a sort of demonstration. I think this is leading up to a demonstration one way or the other, whether it's going to be just a demonstration of nothingness, where the silence sort of speaks louder, or whether this will be the calm before the storm. But I think that I wanted to add this, Justin. I think there's going to be a statement made. There's going to be a sort of a reckoning for what's been happening. And I think it's incredibly sad. I mean, I feel incredibly, I don't want to play the victim, but at the same time I've been lied to, I've been deceived from a very, very, I was basically born into it. And see, from the light worker's perspective, the light worker, understands that the world is multidimensional. And we understand that the nature of the soul as it comes into a particular world, this is just another world for me. This is just a particular world. And so if the people who would be receiving the new souls into this world are going to mistreat them, cut off their foreskins, put them in a pit and make them fight like dogs, basically. And that's basically the program here. The idea is, you rough them up. It's a culture of abuse. You rough up the males. You make them angry, so they'll fight each other. They'll do anything for money, and then you have them fight each other. And it's controlled from another level. And as long as that is what's going on, that Stargate's going to remain closed. And when it opens, don't be surprised if something very, very strange pours out.